The name of my company is LifeAware. The motivation for creating it was about 3 years ago in the Kansas City area. There was a young woman who had gotten abducted, and she had been taken and gotten killed. Her parents had been trying to get the cell phone records from the company to find out where she was at. Unfortunately, it took 3 days to get them, and by the time they did get the records, they were able to find the body, but it was too late at that point. So LifeAware is a mobile application that is in constant communication with our backend servers on App Engine that is recording where you go with your phone. There's a very robust and full-featured set of permissions about who can you share your location with and who can they see and stuff like that. But the important thing is that information is available to anybody. So if you have one person in your family that has an Android phone, then they can log into the website and they can track that one person.
That's really cool. So you chose Android to do this app. Tell us a bit about your technical decision to go with that platform.
Well, Android is the application that we chose to do the mobile client, and there was lots of decisions that went into that. One of the decisions was the one platform to rule them all kind of thing. So if you write on Android, any Android device can do it. We chose App Engine on the back end for the scalability. We had actually, we were the top semi-finalists for the Android Developers Challenge back in 2008. When we had submitted the application for that, we had a full-featured back-end system working completely in Java. As we went through the load testing and performance testing, we realized that we had a significant problem, that we couldn't reach the scalability issues that we needed to running on Glassfish and the MySQL backend. And it's not that we couldn't have done it with those technologies, it was just it would have taken much more resources than what we had available to us at the time. So by going to App Engine, we were able to achieve a lot more scalability than what we were even hoping that we could achieve for them.
So as developers, we are often really interested in war stories. Did you have any particular lessons that you remember from developing LifeAware?
For going through LifeAware on App Engine, probably the biggest lessons that we learned was the Python language itself. We had zero experience coding in Python. The online documentation for Python is incredible. The documentation for App Engine is incredible. So going through that, coming from Java, which is such a strongly typed language, and then going into Python, which is a typeless language, that alone posed all kinds of interesting problems. But that was our biggest challenge.
So do you use App Engine for production, for real do-it-for-dollars projects? And if you don't, what do you see as the biggest barriers to doing that?
We currently use application for our production system, for App Engine for our production system. I think there is a big deterrent going from small startup companies into big enterprise development shops. App Engine is completely designed for developers to build products. It works really well. It has a really strong object model. You can take the objects that are stored in the data model and you can move them between different languages very easily. What it doesn't have is a strong reporting story. So if you want to track the number of users that have registered your site from, week by week, it can be a very difficult thing to do in App Engine. Almost every solution that we've come across ends up writing some type of job to pull the data out of App Engine, put it into a relation data model to where you can actually do that kind of reporting.
So how is using the App Engine data store compared with traditional SQL development?
App Engine data store and SQL development are worlds apart. There's a bridge that you just have to cross. We've talked to lots of people out here at Google I/O, and they're very hung up on, well, how can I write an application if I can't write a SQL statement to query the data out? And until you can make that leap and put your faith in the data store, just ask the data store what it is that you want and just define your filters, and you might get more that you want, you might get not exactly what you want, but it's totally doable.
So how has App Engine helped you to write a scalable application then?
So like I said before, we had the Java system that we had a lot of constraints. We were running somewhere around 3 requests a second and somewhere around 2 hours running 3 requests a second on our load test. We would come into system failure. App Engine, at our peak performance in LifeAware, we were running at 5 requests a second, and it was sustained over about a month and a half. So since then, the excitement of LifeAware and the Android platform, we've toned it down now. So we're running steadily at 2 requests per second, and we've been running at 2 requests or more for 7 or 8 months straight now, and that's something we would never have been able to do in Java.
So how has App Engine simplified your app deployment and production maintenance?
So deploying an App Engine is a complete dream. coming from a very structured Java build system, the compile cycle and getting all your resources in the proper place, building out your war containers, your all those things, it just simply goes away with App Engine. App Engine is fundamentally integrated into the development process. So as you go through your testing and you finally get the code in the state that you want to do, it's just a matter of clicking a button, authenticating to the server, and it's out there.
So since you're here at I/O attending the sessions, is there anything new you've come across or people that you've met that you've really, something you really feel you've learned here?
So I haven't been able to attend any of the sessions yet, but some of the cool things that I learned at the keynote was they have a async call on the GWT stuff. So our front end is written in GWT on the website. So what that means is today, right now, if you go to LifeAware, you'll have to download every single JavaScript file that's been compiled in GWT. So now with this new feature, we'll be able to break that out into chunks, which our website is very performant already, but now will even be that much more so.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.